I'm here today with Louie Bloom, who is the community leasing coordinator / superhero at Wild Rose, one of our communities in Edmonton. And apparently we have a couple things in common. And apart from both loving London, apparently kind of maybe the socks come from that part of the world or otherwise. But I mean, I'm happy to see if we can like who's standing up in terms of what socks are.
So there we go.
These are my part of our London socks.
From Piccadilly, London.
Yeah, I think these are actually Thomas Pink socks.
There you go. There you go.
So I guess Louie, first tell us about yourself, where you're from, and your background.
Sure. I'm originally from London, England. The boy can leave London, but London never leaves the boy, right? So, 19 years in Canada, 7 years in Toronto, and the remainder here in Alberta. Over 30 years in hospitality on 3 continents, and I chose to be working with people, alongside people, from the age of 15. I was a page boy at the Park Lane Hotel, Piccadilly, delivering flowers and letters, and I fell in love with seeing the smile on people's faces and the joy in their eyes. And I've reflected on my course, my career often. I continue to, and that was ultimately what made me want to stay within that industry.
Transition a little bit, but interesting enough as we think a little bit about this idea of steps to lift your spirits.
Yes.
There are often things that can dampen our spirits. And in your experience, be it maybe someone like losing a pet or otherwise, what are some of the things that you've seen that do dampen people's spirits and have dampened people's spirits during these past couple of years?
Well, we've been fortunate at Wild Rose where we remained pretty much COVID-free, able to do recreational activities non-stop. The past few months have been immensely challenging, both for the staff that work at Wild Rose and also all of our residents. And not being able to sit down with each other and play a game of cards as a group, or sit and do a game of bingo, for instance, or even, I recite poetry to them once a week. Not being able to do that feels like punishment, and I'll use that word, punishment. I've seen in my residents' faces and staff's faces the demoralizing feel of not being able to do something that you want to do, that because of regulations, one is not able to do that. And for the family members not being able to visit their loved ones, the safety of our residents is paramount, let's make no mistake. Immensely challenging the past few months. So seeing it in their eyes, you feel it. What can one do to change that? Well, you get creative. You get creative. And that's another wonderful thing about having the autonomy to be able to go ahead and do something to make somebody's day and not need permission to do it because it's the right thing to do, and go ahead and do it. But you're able to do that because of the collaboration that takes place within the home. And that collaboration is not just within the staff members, it's because it's one family. One family in the home, the staff and the residents. We lift each other because we've all got down. We've all had those down moments, but we're able to lift each other. Now, lifting each other could be just engaging in a conversation, which I struggle with behind a mask, but I still do it. I do it every day. And how can we lift their spirits? How can we do that? It could just be simple as engagement. It could just be holding their hand, which is something that I feel very comfortable with doing at my home. I mean, that kind of thing. It's the engagement, Ali.
What are some of the things that have lifted your spirits, or rather, even those? What are maybe one or two really cool examples of things that have lifted people's spirits at Wild Rose?
So we're going back to us being creative. The front office manager there, Wendy Brown, and our recreation manager, Erin Keith, came up with this idea of having a happy hour trolley. It's like a celebration. And it has, everything from sparkling wine to chocolates to music was the big thing. and not being able to have the residents come down in one room and engage like they were before, which will happen, but right now we're not able to do that. How can we engage with them? So we go around with the trolley every Friday, happy hour, with the songs and the laughter. And I've seen them come out of their rooms, and I've been doing this every Friday with Wendy and Erin, and it's becoming a lot more engaging. The residents are not just coming out now, they're walking along the corridor with each other and following the cart and moving with the music. It's starting to become something that even after, when we come out of this pandemic, we'll just continue to do because it's become so much fun.
It'd be like the Wild Rose Cha-Cha line or something, in terms of like how
Ali?
No, I think it's great.
There's a video there because it feels like a cha-cha.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see the residents
awesome.
coming out and they're moving. So yes,
Yeah.
and in this essence, it is a cha-cha because they're following each other and they're gravitating towards the fun, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been huge for me.
You found, to individuals who are watching this today, what tips would you have around steps that people can take to find kind of the silver lining in any circumstance, and ways that people can maybe lighten their spirits if they're they don't have the benefit of the cha-cha line, and they maybe not at an Optima community, but just in general at home or otherwise?
Well, the silver lining, creating that hope, making sure there's always that hope that's there. And at Wild Rose, we create the pathway to having the residents find their silver linings. Even within the restrictions that we have, they're finding their silver linings. And it could be as simple as, again, conversation, huge. Looking someone genuinely in the eye and holding their hand, it's huge. And the communication that takes place in amongst the isolation is more powerful now than it's ever been before. Only today, I had a resident that is calling out, and just to somebody, she was sat there, she's not having a very good day, and no silver lining in place to her. It's just a dark cloud. And approaching her and saying, Mitzi, and she could only see my eyes, Mitzi, and just holding her hand. And that's all she wanted. And she's quoting the Bible to me, and just to listen to her, just to listen to one another. All she wanted is to have somebody listen to her. And at Wild Rose, and I would say the same for all of our homes, nobody has just walked past. Everybody is acknowledged and recognized every day, right? Nobody is ignored. And I just happened to catch her there. So, it's going back to the silver linings, what people can do is just to recognize and acknowledge a lot more and not just let the day fly by. And, I say again, creating pathways to silver linings. But that engagement has to be there, Ali.
Tell me about, we talk a little bit more about this idea of like uplifting spirits, right? And I'd love to understand, like, if you think about things like a thankful list, what would you say are some of like the mental health benefits to doing something like a thankful list? And would you think that's similar as like a gratitude list, or is that something different?
Sure, no, it's being thankful and being grateful every day. But yes, let's talk about the thankful list. I mean, my job is not to make a resident fit the home. Our job is to make our home fit the resident and their families. So I've got adult children on speed dial on my phone. So when we're going around with the trolleys right now, and I was doing this before when we had musicians come in, which would continue, which they'll be back, taking a photo of their loved one and sending that photograph to the adult child. It uplifts them. We're talking about uplifting everybody here, right? It's the entire family. They've put their resident in one of our homes. And the joy that brings, I didn't realize how much joy. The texts, the emails that I've received just from sending one photograph to the adult child of seeing how happy and joyful, how much fun their father or their mother or their grandmother is having, has been so rewarding in the sense that, it's not just about the resident, it's their entire family here. We're all affected and we're all feeling the joy when these wonderful things happen. And of course then, it's keeping up to speed with that. You know, it's not like, oh, this is one picture in a few months. No, it takes no time at all. Click, that's beautiful. A daughter's going to see that. And I let the resident know, and they're so happy about that because they'd like a photograph with that. Yeah. So, you know, it's this is why it's so wonderful to sit here today with you and discuss this. So I've been reflecting on this, having this conversation.
And so if you talked about Dave, we've talked about your career, and then what would you say you enjoy most about kind of the Optima family and your experience with Optima versus other places you've been in the past? Maybe not versus, but just, you know.
Well, look at us now, Ali. You know, we can just sit here and talk about the beauty of senior living, you know, our culture that I've been exposed to, you know, with Optima Living, that I am grateful for. And the learning experience, you know, that I continue to learn through collaboration with the people I work with, the ideas, the creativity through this. Restrictions that we're going through, one has to get more creative, and and it doesn't stop, which is great. And having that autonomy is very important to me, and being, you know, the trust factor, because ultimately with families, I am their trusted advisor. That is what I am. Yeah. And to continue to be able to be that for them, having that responsibility, having that accountability to Optima Living drives me, makes me very proud.